Austen Lane, ESPN 690 Radio, coming to you from my humble abode with my three thoughts from the Jaguars Texans game. Obviously, a real heartbreaker, but let's just get right into it. My first thought coming away is Gardner Minshew. You know, the dude showed up. I thought performed pretty well, all things considered. Got off to a rocky start. A safety came free. The line basically let him go. Had a free shot at Gardner. And I thought it was going to be a long day for him again. You saw that in preseason, especially in Baltimore. But I thought he rebounded very well. As far as the offense is concerned, you know, they went 3 and 13 on third down. And a lot of that was because on first down, they couldn't get anything going. You know, there's a lot of first down runs that didn't equate to anything. And that kind of put them in second and longs and third and longs. And that kind of hurt the offense a little bit. But once again, I mean, Gardner Minshew going 22 for 33, 213 yards. Conley, Chark. I thought they had great games, and all things considered, a 6th-round draft pick out of Washington State comes in on the road, his first start in the NFL, and performs like that and gives you a chance to win. I'm taking that as a positive. Number 2, the defense. Overall, I thought played very well. I thought they rebounded from Kansas City. I was worried about the Houston passing game. I liked how they kind of used some new blitzes, some new schemes. You saw Josh Allen drop back a little bit. You saw some linebackers blitz. Whenever they did that, the Houston Texans had problem, picking up those blitzes, and you got pressure on the quarterback and Deshaun Watson. I felt like when they just ran 4-man straight up, you didn't get a lot of pressure. So that's maybe one thing worried about going forward, the fact that they weren't able to generate a lot of pressure when they just did their 4-man basic rushes. Now, keep in mind, Yannick Ngakoue was out. Josh Allen got the start. I thought Calais Campbell kind of had a rough game, missed a couple tackles in the backfield. It looks like he's nursing something. I don't think he's 100% right now. You have to give him props for even playing with the injury, but at the same time, I thought he left a couple plays on the field, and I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you that. And listen, when you give up over 100 yards rushing, no matter who you play, that's not a good day for your defensive line. Defensive line gives up 127 yards to the Texans. I wasn't overly thrilled with their offensive line and the Houston Texans and their ability to run block. But the Jaguars gave up a pretty big chunk of yardage there, and especially playing Tennessee now on short notice on Thursday, you have to shut the rundown hands down, especially with Derrick Henry and that Tennessee philosophy and that scheme. So I think the defensive line is going to have to rebound a little bit, especially in the trenches and stopping the run. But overall, I think the defensive as a collective unit played pretty well. And then the third thing we got to talk about, obviously, was the coaching decisions. Let's start out with in the first quarter. And listen, I've said last week that when I want to talk about things, I want to talk about X's and O's. I want to go into the show and talk X's and O's. Well, a big part that we'll be talking about now, and we'll be seeing it all over Twitter and all over Facebook, is the fact that Jalen Ramsey and Coach Marone got into it a little bit. And that stemmed from one thing. That was from a third down where Jalen Ramsey felt like DeAndre Hopkins dropped the ball, and the replay shows that he clearly might have done that. But the biggest takeaway from there is the fact that Jalen Ramsey was asking for Coach Marone to challenge that, and he asked him to no avail. Coach Marone did not make that challenge call. It was a first down Houston, and they ended up driving for a field goal, I believe. So, listen, I understand Jalen Ramsey is not your captain, but Jalen Ramsey is your best player on defense, hands down. And I feel like if Jalen Ramsey is requesting for you to throw the challenge flag, you should listen to him. We always talk about putting trust in players. Whether that's, having press coverage man-to-man and you're trusting that player to make the play on the receiver, or you're trusting that player in his decision to throw the challenge flag. And I thought like Marone didn't trust Jalen Ramsey there, and then we saw it unfold on the sidelines, and it was not a pretty sight, and now I have to talk about it on Monday again. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, but I'm saying if I'm Jalen Ramsey, I'm probably a little frustrated too, because if you watch that replay, it did look like that ball hit the ground, and that could have been fourth down right there. The Texans are punting, and the Jaguars get the ball back. Instead, the Texans drove off that call that wasn't made. So, that really sticks out to me. And then, obviously, it's the big call at the end, right? You score a touchdown. Gardner Minshew drives you down the field. A great drive. He got it done with his legs a little bit too. He actually led the team in rushing, which isn't a good sign, but it makes you appreciate, listen, the kid's got the moxie, he's got the poise. If something's open, he's going to take it, and that's exactly what he did. Leads the Jaguars to a touchdown. They go for it on 2, and I get it. Hindsight's 20/20. if the Jaguars score that 2-point conversion, win the game, we're all calling Doug Marrone a genius. They do not. They get literally stopped a foot short, and now we're saying, that wasn't a good call. I don't mind that call on the road, especially playing with the rookie quarterback. Even though your defense is playing pretty damn well, all things considered, I would not have minded going to overtime with that defense that the Jaguars are putting out on the field. Nevertheless, you opt to go for it for the 2-point conversion, and you run the ball up the middle. Not probably the first play I would have called in retrospect, just because I feel like Gardner Minshew got you down there. Gardner Minshew, helped score that touchdown. I would put it in Gardner Minshew's hand. I probably would have spread him out wide. And, he's shown the ability to run with the ball if the push comes to shove. But also you have great receivers that were willing to make the play as well. So overall, I thought it was a questionable play call, for the 2-point conversion, just running up the middle. But once again, hindsight's 2020.